Retro Now.
Hi, this is Emily Swallow, the Armorer in The Mandalorian. You're listening to Dennis and Jay on Podcast Stardust. This is the way.
Welcome to Podcast Stardust. This is the fully armed and operational podcast dedicated to Star Wars news, reviews, and discussion. I'm Dennis Keithley.
And I'm Jay Krebs.
And it's Monday, and we're going to be taking a look at some recent Star Wars news in this episode. But before we get into that, Jay, where can we be found on social media?
Super easy to find us. We are on Facebook and Instagram at Podcast Stardust.
All right. That is the line. The signal's boosted to maximum output. The shield is down. We are now broadcasting to the galaxy. So I'm curious to see how this news episode is going to go because I had a completely different plan up until about 2 minutes ago as we were literally about to press record. You got the news that they announced when Star Wars Celebration tickets are going on sale. So we've pulled up the Star Wars Celebration website and we're going to get into that. So the most important thing you need to know right now is that tickets are going on sale on Wednesday, May 6th. So that is about, 3 weeks from now?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And as a reminder, Star Wars Celebration is April 1st through the 4th in Los Angeles, California, 2027. And so, okay, so again, we're doing this on the fly. And so please bear with us here as we go through it. This is a bit of a sticker shock here. And let's just kind of peel the Band-Aid off all at once, Jay. we're looking at this like literally right now, but
right.
So you go to the StarWarsCelebration.com and you pull up the information about tickets. The first thing that hits you in the face is that tickets go on sale May 6th, and then here's some information about pricing. There'll be a shipping fee of $10 to your purchase at checkout, and it increases to $16 if you are purchasing 4 tickets or more, and you can choose expedited shipping, yada yada yada. But right below that, Jedi Master VIP tickets. Jay, how much do those cost?
Should we do drum roll, please?
I'm not giving this a drum roll, no.
$1,210.99. So basically $1,200.
Yeah. Okay. I don't remember what they were in Japan. I don't remember what they were in London the year before that. And I don't specifically remember what they were in Anaheim at the last celebration we attended. My memory is, and it could be wrong, that for Anaheim and maybe Chicago, it was $750 for the 4 days. So that's
your memory is much better than mine, if that's the case, because I couldn't even begin to tell you. But that is quite an uptick in charges if that's the case.
Yeah. And yeah, again, don't quote me on that. That may not be right, but my memory is at least for some celebration that I've attended in the past, that was the price we were looking at. And mentally, that's what I was expecting it to be, or something closer to that. Mm-hmm. The chances of any one person getting a Jedi VIP ticket, Master VIP, is pretty small. I mean, every time I've gotten through the queue, they've always been sold out. So it may be irrelevant for the average person. Just a quick rundown of what's included in those VIP tickets is 30-minute early entry into the exhibit hall and VIP lounge, Thursday night official celebration store shopping experience, guaranteed admission to all panels on the celebration stage. You have to be there 30 minutes in advance. Designated VIP lines for autographs and photo ops, designated VIP lines for the celebration store, a VIP lounge with complimentary coat check and charging stations, on-site VIP concierge, exclusive VIP hologram badge, an exclusive VIP special enamel pen, exclusive VIP show lanyard, car magnet, official show poster with a tube, and a complimentary Star Wars Celebration tote bag. So
pretty good, though, I will say. I mean, that's some good swag there. And I would say the best part about that whole thing is guaranteed admission to all panels on the celebration stage. Because as we both know, those queues to get selected for the panels can be a crapshoot. And so you just never know if you're going to get in, if you're not going to get in. And so if you want peace of mind, there's definitely that. And then the celebration store, I think, is probably the other big thing there too, because you can spend all day queuing up to get into the celebration store sometimes.
Right, right. So yes, as someone who has not gotten into any panels for the last two celebrations, when they've done this an advanced selection process, that would be a nice peace of mind. The other thing is, as someone who's also stood in a lot of lines for autographs at Celebration, that VIP basically skip the line thing is
Mm-hmm.
pretty cool, because
Yes.
I mean, I've stood in the line for an hour or longer to get an autograph, to find out that that person was off somewhere else doing an interview or whatever when they were supposed to be there at the table. And then you come back, and then all of a sudden a bunch of the VIP shows up. And so not only, so you have to wait for them too.
Mm-hmm.
So, don't want to say sour grapes, but you can lose a ton of time waiting in line for autographs and photo ops and the like. So
That's
that
true.
would be,
Mhm.
a bonus. The rest of it I could take or leave, but those things right there would be absolutely huge.
Oh, for sure. And I,
Yeah.
I will say that if this is something, and like you said, time is of the essence. And if this is something that, perhaps you're looking at this as being one of your only Star Wars experiences that you're going to have, or maybe this is going to be the highlight of your year,
Hmm.
then that $1,200 maybe isn't as bad as I'm not saying that it's bad, but maybe it's not as steep as you think, because I'm telling you, I've got some miles built up on my flight, so I might actually consider this. I'm not gonna lie, but like you said, it's going to be hard to get in and actually secure them because they only have a certain number.
Right, right. So, yeah, they just become. I'm with you. If you've got something like miles that you can use to get out to Celebration, or maybe hotel loyalty points that you can use to carry your stay, then yeah, you can shift some of that money that you would have paid for those things into the tickets, and that's great. I'm doing something similar for a trip I'm about to take. My airfare has been covered, so I shifted that money into where I'm staying in a hotel. But this is per person. And so if you're going
Mhm.
with just one more person and you get those VIP tickets, that's $2,400,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
$3,600 if you're, three, and $4,800 if you're taking four. That's prohibitive right there,
Definitely.
for 4 days. So, all right, I don't really want to spend any more time talking about the Master VIP, Jedi Master VIPs, because we're really probably talking about 750, 1,000 people total. They're going to get
Mhm.
those. And
Mhm.
I don't know if they're doing this, and I haven't had enough time, and I'm not going to take the time out to research on this episode. I know with a couple of the past celebrations, they offered those Jedi Master VIPs to people who had already had been Jedi Master VIPs at the previous celebration. So that may further limit your ability to get those tickets. So
Mhm.
there we
Yeah,
are.
and they are limiting, if you can get them, they are limiting them to 4 Jedi Master VIP tickets per order too. But you
Yeah.
can purchase up to 20 tickets total per order according to the guidelines.
Mm. Well, speaking of the other 16 tickets you could order, those Jedi Master VIP, adult tickets are running at a price of $260.99 for the 4-day experience. That does not seem too dramatically more expensive than what we've seen in the past, I don't think.
No,
I
and
feel
not
like,
too dramatically expensive than, like, a 3-day con like a fan expo.
right, that seems relatively reasonable. The
Mhm.
individual adult tickets are $76 for Thursday, $91 for Friday, 91 for Saturday, and 91 for Sunday. So I'm just assuming they think a lot of people aren't going to be able to necessarily get off work and show up on Thursday. And so that's the discounted price for that one. Similarly, kids tickets, 4 days, comes in at $105.99, with single day ticket prices ranging for $36 for Thursday and then $46 per day for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that's not too bad. That's,
No,
like you
it's really
said,
not.
I've paid about that much to go to a local convention in the past,
Mhm.
and it's not all Star Wars. So
And it's
hey,
cheaper than even getting into somewhere like Cedar Point or, Six Flags
hmm,
or something like that for a
yeah,
kid. I'm wondering what their cutoff is. Obviously, our kids are much older, so we wouldn't have to worry about it. But for those listeners that have younglings, I wonder what their cutoff is. Is it 12 or is it 10? What do they consider kids? Do you know?
That's a good question. And at least with the
Because I don't see it
scrolling,
here.
yeah, I'm not
Hmm.
seeing that for the scrolling. That'll have to probably be something that you look at when you're buying your tickets at this point. And
Yeah.
I'm guessing that this is going to be updated here. The other thing that's not included on this page right now is hotel information.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because normally when you buy your tickets, they have room blocks at various nearby hotels, which has
Right.
never worked out for me in the past. They've not had when I've gone to do that, they've not had rooms available for all nights of the convention, and so I've ended up having to get my room through basically stalking all the different hotels' websites. See, I'll book something
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
then stalk the
Hmm.
hotel that I want until I can get the exact place I want to stay at. And I'm not familiar with the LA Convention Center and the surrounding hotels, so I don't even know what the best one is yet. That's going to be some research I'm going to have to do.
Well, I went for the 2007 Celebration 4
Hmm.
back in the day. And we actually stayed at the same hotel where they filmed True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger. So
Oh, okay.
the scene where he goes through the hotel lobby on the horse is the hotel where I stayed. And they had an outside elevator lift. And so we kept calling it the turbo lift because you could see the outside LA area as you were on the outside of the hotel. So that was a lot of fun. And I did find while we were talking in the FAQs under who needs a ticket, kids 6 to 12 or their parents must purchase a kids ticket to attend.
Okay.
So, yeah, so 6 to 12. So 13 and over, adult tickets required.
Yeah, one of the other things I skipped over that I actually appreciate seeing is Star Wars Celebration pricing equals no hidden fees. Ticket prices shown include cost of ticket, no, pardon me, cost of ticket and service fee. The only thing it doesn't include is the servicing, or it's the shipping fee, I should say, that we already talked about at the top. So that's
Hmm.
good to know because I don't know about you, but I'm tired of going to some of these websites to order things and your $75 ticket becomes 130 when you add all the different service and convenience fees. Um,
Right. Oh,
so
so true.
yeah, so knowing that it's 260.99 plus whatever that shipping fee is going to be is going to it's nice to know. Look, if you're planning on going to Celebration, getting tickets can be stressful. So be
Yes.
prepared on May 6th uh, to spend your money. Maybe have multiple browsers going on different computers to get that going. To get those. I've been fortunate that for the celebrations I've attended, and I knew on the day that tickets went to go on sale that I haven't had a problem getting them, but they do sell out. So maybe not right away, but shortly thereafter. So
Hmm. Yep, that's
definitely
true.
ready to go. But
Yep. And you mentioned housing, and on their housing page, it says they've partnered with Connections Housing to bring discounted rates. So those will be going additional to the general public May 7th. So, yeah, but celebration ticket holders can lock in their stay early. And there is a Los Angeles Convention Center's travel page for more information on the easiest ways to arrive at the show. So, yeah, make sure you hit up StarWarsCelebration.com for sure for all of the things. And I'm loving, I have to say, on all of the different pages that they have a little banner with a bunch of different fan pictures.
mhm.
So there's people in cosplay, there's one with at night with all the lightsabers lit up and held over their heads. And so, yeah, so it's just really nice to see that kind of stuff.
All right. So yeah, so this was very off the cuff for us because they literally announced this just moments before we started recording, and
Yes.
our schedule for recording is a little different this week. But we will aim to have some more information out to you all in advance of tickets sales so that everyone can be prepared. And so stay tuned for that. Okay, well now that that is out of the way, I'm looking at the rest of the stuff that we have in the news, and we're kind of limited on time. So we're going to skip ahead over some of the things that we had here. Maybe we'll pick it up on a future news episode, Jay. But I'm looking at the success of Maul, as has been reported by Forbes. And it turns out it is incredibly successful in that it has got the third highest Rotten Tomato score of any Star Wars project ever. currently only trailing The Empire Strikes Back and A New Hope, which were 97% and 96% in the Rotten Tomato scores. Shadow Lord's got a 95, ahead of Return of the Jedi, which is 94. And they've ranked 26 different projects that are on screens for Star Wars here.
Yeah, and I had to look this up because I feel like maybe it's just the red car thing, where you just notice things because you've already noticed them.
Mhm.
But the whole Rotten Tomatoes thing I knew was a thing forever. But I got to wondering who does the ratings and how do they come up with the score? And so I did do a little bit of research into, how that actually happens. And so it's basically people that are critics that they use often, and then so it's basically if they liked it, then it's high. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah,
but I guess
it's
it's a pretty good
amalgamation of
cross.
critic
Yeah.
scores.
An
Basically, if
amalgamation.
yeah,
I see what you did there.
not intended, but good catch. Yeah, basically it's this. They have two scores on Rotten Tomato, which is the critic score and the audience score. The one that's usually cited to everybody is the critic score. And if a critic, it's an established critic and they have their top critics that they even break it down further, leaves a positive, what is considered a positive review, it gets a tomato. And if it's a negative review, it's a smashed tomato. And then
Mhm.
they tally those up, and then at some point, like I think it's over 60%, it's considered fresh, and if it's over 80% of all critics, then it's certified fresh on there, and then less than that, it's not. And then similarly, they users on the site can leave their own like 5-star rating, 1 to 5 stars, and then they tally that up. And last time I checked, it had this very high critic and audience score on that. But I was just a little surprised. And they laid out in this Forbes article all the scores here.
Mhm, they did.
And okay, I mean, this is good. You and I have been gushing about it in all of our reviews, including the one we just recorded for episode 3 and 4. Okay, I say all. We've done 2 episodes on Maul Shadow Lord. Empire Strikes Back, no brainer, 97%. A New Hope, 96%. I mean, that blew everyone away back in the day. And then, but Return of the Jedi, 94%. Skipping down, Andor, 89%.
Right.
On this, that's a great score. There's nothing wrong with that, but just that, and maybe it's because Andor had 2 full seasons, and the first season was good, the second season was absolutely amazing, and so maybe that's what brings it down a little bit. But Rogue One at 87%, I
Mhm.
would have thought projects like that would have hit harder with the critics than this. I mean, because they're all fantastic, but that just still kind of surprised me.
No, I agree. And I think the whole thing with the rating system is so fascinating because as we were just talking about how it works, when we used to watch television at least, remember the old Nielsen ratings
Mhm.
and how those happened? So I just think that the evolution of the rating system itself is just really interesting. But aside from that, yeah, there's a few projects in here that I definitely, and not just because of my own personal feelings about them, but just from the circles that you and I run in, so to speak, that
Mhm.
they would have been much higher or much lower. I'm so surprised that The Mandalorian only started out at 78%, for example. And like you said, it's still a good score, but I guess when you're used to being a straight A student, a 78 is kind of a blow to your ego kind of thing.
Yeah.
As are some of these other ones that are like Revenge of the Sith, ironically, 66%.
That's
Ha!
good. Yeah.
Ha! Ha!
Well,
Ha!
let's talk about The Mandalorian for a second. I'm going to make a guess on this one that if you got rid of season 3, The Mandalorian score would be higher than this. But
Touche, yes.
that score is
Mhm,
going to include all 3 seasons, and there was a fair amount of backlash to season 3 of The
mhm.
Mandalorian.
Good
That
point.
being said, the fact that Skeleton Crew comes ahead of it at 79 still blows me away. I like the
Yeah.
Skeleton Crew, but I don't know that I liked that one season of Skeleton Crew better than any 3 seasons of The Mandalorian.
Mhm. Exactly. And, I wonder too if some of these things, if they were revisited, if they obviously these are premiere scores, but
Uh-huh.
if they were revisited and then re-rated by fans and things, I feel like things like Andor, for example, would shoot right up. And, there's other things too, like Attack of the Clones was even lower than The Phantom Menace at 56%. That surprises me. And
Yeah.
Phantom Menace at 59. with
I
Acolyte being 19%, way down.
right. You know, just again, not it's hard to get, I haven't read all the reviews, so I can't get into the minds of all the people that were doing the reviews here. And we have to keep in
Sure.
mind that it is a meta system here. It is
Right.
taking advantage of all the reviews that were out there. The Phantom Menace was not well reviewed when it came, as much as I enjoyed it. And
Sure.
if we had millennials that were doing reviews now for the first time that were included in this, I suspect that score would have been higher, which
Oh,
would have
yeah.
led to a higher score from Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith.
Mhm.
Because I do remember when Revenge of the Sith came out, the reviews being a lot of reviews being they finally got it right here, but I still feel like those prior two movies were being held against it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So again, I can't get in
You're
the
right.
minds of all the critics, but the prequels are far more beloved today than they were when they originally came out.
Oh, yeah.
Which, not to stir up the pot, but what's that mean for the sequel trilogy in 15 years?
I
So,
think yeah, I truly think the same thing may happen
mhm.
as they are, looked back upon and revisited again. Who knows?
Yeah, but I mean, the opposite thing of what I was just talking about happened with the sequel trilogy. Force Awakens, 84%. The Last Jedi, 41%. And where's The Rise of Skywalker on this?
86%, actually, it's at number 9, just
That's
behind
weird.
Rogue One. I know,
Yeah,
I was surprised by that as well, quite
yeah,
honestly.
that's interesting. Huh. I wonder if there was some sort of sabotage there with Last Jedi. And again, I'm on record saying it's not my favorite Star Wars movie. I like it plenty, that and Solo, but that was a very very divisive movie when it came out, and so interesting.
Mhm,
Because like everything else Rand Johnson's done has been like so well received, but people just didn't. A lot. I want to say people in general, but a lot of people did not enjoy what he did with Star Wars. So.
mhm, mhm. It's true.
Okay. All right. Well, that's enough of ratings. So far, we've talked about tickets and we've talked about ratings. How fascinating! So let's move
Well,
on
if you're a
to
numbers person, you're loving this one, that's for sure.
yeah. Let's talk about something that is a little closer to our hearts here, and that is Mara Jade. And now I'm going to break your heart. Don't count on ever seeing her in the current
Yeah,
canon.
wah, wah, wah.
So Timothy Zahn and Claudia Gray were at MegaCon in Orlando, and the subject of Mara Jade came up. And so they both had an opportunity to say something about this. And make sure I get these quotes right. Claudia Gray's quote is saying, "A couple times I was like, really, really no Mara Jade?" And they were like, stern voice, "Nope." This is what she's been told. And then Timothy Zahn also added that he's asked them as well about bringing back Mara Jade, and he was also told no. And Timothy Zahn added at some point during this con that in the past, or not, I'm sorry, not at the con, but in the past, Timothy Zahn has acknowledged that George Lucas disliked Mara Jade and that he has tried to bring her back on a few other occasions, but Lucasfilm has always said no. So there we go. I, I'm not as much as I like that character and as much as I like her involvement in Legends and what she meant to Legends. This is a character to me, Jay, that is too closely tied with Luke Skywalker,
Mhm.
and his story in canon right now is not conducive to bringing her back. And
Oh, yeah.
I'm just not. And if you can't recreate, I'm not saying beat for beat, but if you can't recreate that relationship, I just, especially since we've already got Thrawn in here doing Thrawn things, I'm not sure it's worth bringing her back because it would just be too different a character. But what are your thoughts?
No, I agree with that, and it is sad because Mara Jade is so beloved in the fandom, but she has her place in Legends/Expanded Universe, and I think that
Mhm.
that is where she needs to stay because you're right, it rewrites Luke's story, and you simply can't do that, and there's just too many other elements of where we are in canon right now that would she would if it happened, she would need to be retconned so much and she would need to be rewritten so much that she loses her essence. And I just think that that does the character such a disservice. So it's intentional brand control, I think, on the part of Star Wars, and I agree with it. It's a smart move. As much as we love the nostalgia and we love Mara Jade, she's just being actively avoided, I think, for all the right reasons.
Yeah, I think part of it is respect for George Lucas, and then yeah, I think at this point the ship has sailed, as you were saying.
Right.
So um, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be terribly crushed if they decided to go back and revisit some of the Legends property with more Legends books, but they have been consistent in their message, which is, with a very few exceptions, they're just not interested in confusing their audience anymore
Mhm.
about
Mhm.
what quote unquote counts and what does not.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
It would have to be from a certain point of view kind of project, if anything.
yeah. I think if I were going to pick other Legends characters, and I know who you would pick, but if I was going to pick other Legend characters that have not yet appeared, Kyle Katarn would be someone I'd be interested in bringing back.
Mhm.
Corran Horn has kind of appeared in Obi-Wan Kenobi, but
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
child, but beyond that, we haven't seen anything. I know you're going to say Tahiri Vela if
Oh,
they
yeah.
could bring someone, but
But
who
again, her
else?
her story is impossible, quite honestly,
Yeah.
because there's no way to do that without shaking up the entire family tree of
Hmm.
Star Wars, essentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's so many, and I think for me personally, this Cal Skirata from Republic Commando would be
Hmm.
one that I would love to see. And there's a
Alan
few
Card.
others. Yeah, there you go. That's a great
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Although I kind of feel like they're not the same people. Don't get me wrong, but like Hondo Anaka is filled some of that role in a way.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
So
call.
yeah,
Mhm.
I don't know if that they could really get away with bringing him back either. But
Mhm.
okay, well, one last thing. So if you were in Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland this past week, you may have shown up to Dok-Ondar's Den of Antiquities and only find out it was closed. There's a sign on the door saying acquiring artifacts will return to Black Spire Outpost soon. And turns out that they were basically shutting it down for its portion of the refurbishment of that area of Galaxy's Edge for the upcoming timeline change, which becomes official on April 29th. But by the time this is out, it should be open again, unless they've had some sort of a setback on there.
And how disappointing. I mean, I guess if you were planning your trip, then you probably would have known if you
Yeah.
were keeping up with things, but that's a bummer if you didn't get to go and you were
Hey,
there.
I've been to Disney parks counting on attractions only to find out that they were down for refurbishment the duration of my visit. And when we were there in 2022 for Celebration, I wanted to go on the Radiator Springs ride, and the day before we got there, or maybe in the day I got there, one of the cars caught on fire, which shut the whole thing down for the
Oh,
duration of the visit.
no. Was it
So
Mater?
I don't know. Good guess, but at any rate, so that I wasn't able to do that. Those things happen though. Oh, have you seen the videos on Instagram of Han Solo appearing at Galaxy's Edge?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I sent that one to Colby one and I was like, what a rush, as a young guy to be able to do that in the parks. And he's a good likeness. I think he's a good Han Solo for the choice. What do you think?
Yeah, the hair's a bit much, but other than
Well,
that,
it's 70s hair. What do you he's got the
well,
pert
it's a wig,
shine.
obviously, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's a bit poofy looking. I mean, it's a lot there, but yeah, hey, you can only do what you can do with that. So no, but I think it was cool. The interaction with Chewbacca around the Falcon was fun.
Mhm.
Watching him walk out
Yep.
of Otis Cantina was cool and stuff like that. But fans get a kick out of that.
Oh,
So
for sure, for sure. He's gonna be a big hit.
all right. Well, that's what we got time for this week's news. So thank you all for joining us here on Podcast Stardust. So we hope you've enjoyed our discussion, and we'd love to get your thoughts. And Jay will give you our contacts in just a bit for that. But we greatly appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast on your podcaster of choice. We'd love your ratings and reviews. Those really do help us out. And if you want to catch more of the show beyond what you can find on your podcatcher, head over to retrozap.com. The entire back catalog of 1,022 shows is there, as well as the other shows that are on the network. Jay, you want to go ahead and remind everybody what those contacts are in case they want to get in touch with us?
Sure thing. So we are over on the Instagram and Facebook area of the Galaxy at Podcast Stardust. And you can also check out all of our Pinterest boards and you can subscribe to both of our YouTube outlets. So we are on traditional YouTube as well as YouTube Music. We'd love to see you over there. You won't see us per se, you'll just have the audio, but it's a great way to download and listen to all of episodes of Podcast Stardust. And if you'd like to email us, you can do so at podcaststardust@gmail.com. And then if you want to pick up some Podcast Stardust merch, you can do so over at our TeePublic store. And the link to that will be in our show notes. And if you do happen to grab one of our 7 different show logo designs on one of the amazing pieces of products over there, please snap a picture and post it on one of our social media outlets so we can see you in action, because it really does help us as far as the show goes and supports the show. And it's just great to see where those products end up out in the wild.
All right. What is the latest in cosplay?
Well, you can catch me on my Instagram, which is at j.snipscosplay, and gearing up for our favorite holiday, May the 4th. On May the 3rd, I will be in New Philadelphia, Ohio at Art on the Alley. I'm really excited about that because it's a fun event that I get to do every year and supports local artisans and the like.
Okay. Upcoming on the show. So this Wednesday, we'll be getting into The Force Awakens, part 4 of our discussion in that series. And then on Friday, we will be getting into episodes 5 and 6 of Maul Shadowlord. Beyond that, things are a little up in the air to accommodate a busy week. So we'll see if we get to the news next Monday or if we have something else in the feed for you. But with that having been said, thanks for listening to episode 1023 of Podcast Stardust. Have a great week. And until next time, may the Force be with you.